Hello, everyone. Welcome. Come on in. Welcome to episode number 35 of Reptiles and Cocktails. Take a moment to share this video out, guys. This is going to be a good one. I like to share with you guys some of the people in the hobby that, a lot of people are aware of, but then there may be other people who are not. And Mark is definitely one of those people who I actually stumbled across, actually in the retic world for me, about 2 to 3 years ago. And I watch him every day since. He is amazing. His family is amazing. But he is all about what I'm about, conservationist. He's about, well, let me say he's about more than I'm about, because one of the things that Mark does that you guys know that I won't do is that I won't rescue animals. I've never did. Well, take it back. One of the things I did rescue a dog before, and it ended up very tragic. If you ever heard the story, I almost lost my arm. So from that, I always like to raise my animals up and, just have that bond that I had with them. But Mark rescues all kinds of animals. And he does it without any visible strife. And it's an amazing thing to see. And I'll talk more about it. I'll share with Mark one of the things he almost made me do one day. And he doesn't even know that he was the reason. But I'm going to share that with him today as well. So welcome, everybody. Bosa is in the background as well. Shout out to Tim from Intrepid Exotics. Tim actually just did a video. You guys can go to the USR channel and watch the video that Tim from Intrepid Exotics just posted yesterday on the USR channel. Check it out. And he made a recommendation for me to do the same and helping to organize that with Garrett from Reach Out Reptiles to get that done. I did something similar with Gary from Constricted Reptiles, I believe it was, or Addicted Constricted, it might have been, about in the wintertime, I think it was. It was a really cool video, and Garrett actually was in that video as well. So with all that I want to do in this new thing, that is a big thing that I want to do, is continue to support USR. And let's remember to do that, everyone. If you're not supporting them now, support them in one way, shape, or form. Without USR, none of us would be able to enjoy this hobby in the way that we do today. So with that said, and without further ado, I'm going to bring on Mark. Hey,
how's
Mark.
it going?
Hi. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, great. So everybody, meet Mark Anderson, and I'm going to let Mark introduce himself. Mark, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, and how you got into reptiles.
Hi, I'm Mark Anderson, first of all, and then pretty much I've been into reptiles my whole life, and ever since I was a little kid, all I can remember is going to the zoo. I grew up in San Diego, so going to the zoo, SeaWorld, all of that stuff. Like the reptile house at the zoo was my favorite, and they had so many different species there, and kind of grew up just doing that kind of stuff and going out and catching rattlesnakes and gopher snakes and lizards and, the whole thing.
Yes, and let's talk about that. So I think that just share with everyone what type of, it's too much to say everything, but let's go with just some of the animals that you deal with or you handle, you have rescued. Tell people.
So I primarily taken not like the traditional rescues where it's like, here's my bearded dragon,
Right.
Something like that, super stick. It's here's my 18-foot reticulated python or 7-foot Nile monitor kind of thing. That's how I got those animals, or just people are just, had them for a while, super good taken care of. And they just can't handle them anymore. People don't realize the repetition every day for years and years and years. And, people's lives change and stuff happens. So I just recently got it like a red spitting cobra a few months ago. So that was super cool from a friend. Just stuff like that. Just more, the rescues that most people don't want to take in, I guess. Not even rescues, they're just pets, people's pets, that kind of thing.
Right. So I'm going to share a quick little funny story. About a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, you used to share a Gaboon Viper a lot. And this was the coolest Gaboon Viper I ever saw. So one day I'm at Hamburg and I said to myself, you can do it, Nicole. Get a Gaboon Viper. And then I went there and looked at the Gaboon Viper face to face and reminded myself, no, Nicole, you can't do a Gaboon Viper. But it was you who made me want one. I have seen multiple people since, people a little bit more visual about venomous snakes in the last few years, that it changed a lot of images that I even have of venomous snakes. Not that I'm going to ever have one or hands on them, because I think that you have to be a very unique person. And one of the things that you must have a good quality of is attention span, and I don't. So
yeah, that's definitely.
I'm a recent girl. We hyperactive over here. And I think that's one of the things that makes you guys who can handle them amazing. But in your experiences, have you ever had any close calls?
No, not at all. I kind of like the animal side, like behavior side of things. So, like most Gaboon Vipers will, they'll hiss, kind of like a rattlesnake rattles. They hiss, kind of warn you, that kind of thing. I don't like mine to do that. I don't like my rattlesnakes to rattle. I don't like my cobras to hood. So when working with them, I don't get them to do that kind of stuff. So they look like a non-venomous snake pretty much, and then the biggest thing is just discipline. So, like I don't ever really free handle anything.
Right.
My big Gaboon Viper I do, but that's only because there are hooks big enough out there for her, but when I got her, she was really overweight. So then using the hooks and stuff, it just puts a lot of pressure on her ribs and, her whole body and all that stuff. So,
right.
And she's 6 feet long. So I just kind of trained her to be able to be picked up, and obviously in a very controlled way, but I have to pick her up and then put her in the bath. I soak all my animals once a week. So they're used to touch handling, all that stuff. And I kind of just desensitize them, but I never get like complacent to where I'm going to kiss my Gaboon Viper or hug it or, do anything crazy. Like I see some people do, and I'm like, that's insane, and I still get stuff for doing what I do. And I'm just like, well, yeah, I don't know. I have a 9-foot forest cobra, and the only way I can use a hook and free handle at the same time. So it's kind of one of those things because it's safer that way. I can't double hook her because she's so big and fast. So, but then with her, I get her to be super calm, mellow. She never hoods at me. Her name's Wendy. So I try to get people to associate better with kid-friendly names, as I call them. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about your son and all of this. And
yeah.
Let me tell you where I find him. Is his name Porter?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let me tell you all what I find impressive about Porter. So let me first of all start. How old is Porter?
He just turned 6.
Okay, 6. 6.
Yeah.
6-year-old little boy. Herping, right? So you guys are out herping. Now he's herping, and he always have a host of animals already with him, like things like around his wrist, and still herping for additional animals. And he has no evident fear factor. So how do you balance that with him? Like, okay, Porter, he's enthusiastic. He's like my granddaughter. My granddaughter like that. You can bring her Gaboon Viper, and she'd be like, "Come on, little Gaboon," like she'll think it's the sweetest thing. But how do you get him to balance that, not having the fear with just understanding that there could be imminent danger with other, with certain species?
Yeah. Right off the bat, he's not like, it's not like fear, it's more respect. So, like the scorpions or something, hold them, and it's like, I hold them first, kind of judge the situation, and then I'll kind of, pass them along, that kind of thing. And people ask me that all the time, like, how is he not going to go in the rattlesnake cage or something? And I could just look at Porter and be like, go in there. And he's like, no, I know what it does.
Okay.
And I've never like really talked to him like a baby, and he's just been around him his whole life. He's stood in front of classrooms, at 3 and 4 years old, helping me teach kids about snakes and handing them out and stuff. And then, he just knows that they're venomous and dangerous, and, just a healthy respect. And we learn all the time. And, I just want to get him I want to just get it out there. You can have a cobra and a family, as long as you're responsible, kind of thing, because most of my friends are like, why do you have that? That's crazy. Like, I've had to deal CPS before, and I'm like, I'm not breaking any laws or anything. Like,
are you serious?
Crazy. Yeah. Oh yeah. Fish and Game, CPS, like state troopers. It's a
So
lot of
what
fun.
state are you in?
I'm in Oregon,
You in
in
Oregon?
Central Oregon, like right in the middle. Yeah, the high
Okay.
desert.
I was getting ready to say, because it seems like you can do what you do almost year round. So it's pretty much, that's the one state I've never been to. And I've been a lot of places: Oregon, Idaho, and Iowa. 3 states. So let me say three
Nice.
states I've never been to. So is Oregon really warm all year, kind of like California, or?
Where I live, it's Central Oregon, so it's in Bend, and we have extreme weather. We have every single season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean it gets negative degrees in the
Oh,
winter.
wow. Okay,
Yeah,
you're
so
worse than me.
yeah, it's definitely a climate control. Like I keep my whole house humidity and climate control. Like I want to create my own weather, so to speak. You know.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, you walk into my house, it's always 78 to 80 degrees and anywhere from 60 to 80% humidity. So,
Yep.
yeah, it's a lot of fun in
So,
the wintertime.
so what do you, so you have a regular job outside of all of the work that you do for the reptiles?
Yeah, I'm a chef. I've been cooking for the last 13, 14
Oh,
years.
amazing. And you still have the time to do all of that. So talk a little bit about your educational program, because I think that it's massive. It's amazing. Again, some of the association, you build a lot of that with the community, which is important. I always say what we do with reptiles, like you talk about CPS coming to your house. Well, if you got a fire department and you have the police department who has been around you and your family and these animals, it's a little bit more helpful for you when CPS comes
Yeah.
to your house and they say that your child is living in a dangerous situation. So
Yeah.
I see that you have a lot of that in your community involvement. So talk a little bit about what you do in that realm.
So like I have state trooper friends that come over with their families, different cop friends, people that work in CPS, and you know, I'm a chef at a restaurant here in town, and the owner is actually into politics. She's a politician, so it's super cool to be able to educate her, that kind of thing. And then
That's important. Yeah.
yeah, I try to just get out there that, like, you know, like the word cobra or venom or large snake, you know, just get those things more normalized. You know, it's like people talk about a bee and how it's venomous and it'll sting you, like no problem, you know. But anything else, it's like,
Right.
oh, it's venom. Like my Mexican
Right.
beaded lizard or something that's never killed anybody in the history of ever. Yeah, it's insane. But I try to get more towards kids education, because it's that, you know, I want to teach them that healthy respect, not like, here's, you know, like the, you know, kaboom viper and let me hold it. It's you know, these are super dangerous, that kind of thing, but they're also awesome, you know. And it's not their fault they're dangerous. So like my big kaboom viper that you saw, her name is Peaches, so that kind of, you know, puts the with
Softens
that.
it
Yeah,
up.
it's a
Softens the
viper but her
light a
name's
little bit.
Peaches. Yeah.
Peaches
And
has sweet venom.
right, totally. Yeah, and those snakes and stuff I never bring around, you know, educational programs
Right.
or anything. But
Right.
yeah, they're more like if I do a house tour or I have people come over, you know, it's like, hey, look at this, you know, kind of thing, which is pretty cool. I like doing the house tours because you can get more intimate than out in the public.
Exactly. Hey, everyone is joining. Hey, Elevated. Hey, Dom. Hey, Dre. Dre, you know you're not working out. Hey, Pat, the other person who always claim they at the gym, but always eating. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much. So I will ask, who taught you or mentored you with the venomous snakes? Like, how did you, was it just growing up around, and did you have your family? Like, how did you get so comfortable?
I've had friends here and there that I've had venomous snakes, all that. So long story short, I had a German Shepherd for 14 years. And he was fear aggressive and like a special needs one too. So I had to always watch people's behavior. I always had to watch his behavior. You know, I just, over 14 years, you kind of get used to it.
Right.
And he stayed alive right when my son was born. And then I had to put him down because of his age and all that stuff. So here I was left with my son. And then I'm like, I don't have anything to do or anything to worry about because I've had to worry about that dog every single day. And so I had my son and I was sitting there and I was like, I want to get some animals. So I started out with fish, actually. And I got an Oscar in the classic 10-gallon tank. And then eventually, years down the road and everything, I got a 1,000-gallon tank I upgraded them to. but yeah, so then I slowly got into snakes, all that kind of stuff, lizards. And then over the past 6 years, I've just had all that stuff, and it's just slowly accumulated. And then with the venomous stuff, it's more, I caught rattlesnakes when I was a kid, all that kind of stuff. Grew up watching Steve Irwin, all
Right.
that. So I was out there catching them. Like I, do the classic, hold them behind their head and show all that, all that stuff. I was young and dumb. And so I got my venomous now, and all I do is really watch podcasts, YouTube videos. And then I have a lot of friends here in Bend that have venomous. And so I've just talked to people around the area and all this. And then I just decided to, that gaboon viper was actually given to me. It was somebody just couldn't handle it anymore, and they were scared of it. So I was like, you know what, I'll take it. And then I've just been working with her ever since. And then I slowly got like my forest cobra and my red spitting cobra, and I have a Mexican West Coast rattlesnake. And I just have discipline enough to where I get them to trust me. And I always see people handle these animals like free handle, like they're non-venomous. And I'm like, that's insane, So I never get that complacent, but I just, I know my boundaries with them. And obviously these are animals I can't get tagged by because I'll die pretty much.
Right.
So
right.
a zero bite policy. Yeah.
Something tragic is happening in this scenario.
Yeah. So I've never really had any close calls or anything. I've been bitten by like 4 of the animals that I have, and most of them are baby snakes that I hatched out. But yeah, I just teach all my animals to trust people before I get people to trust the animals, if that makes sense.
Yes. So I don't know if this question was for me or for you, Mark. So I'm gonna ask you first. Someone asked, your mom wants me to be her boyfriend. Asked, what do you like better, ball python morphs or reticulated python morphs?
I love reticulated pythons.
Me too.
About the morphs, I don't care too much. A reticulated python's a reticulated python,
So is that short? So what is your favorite animal? Your favorite snake?
My yellow anaconda that I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that's the one big snake, or that I don't have, and it's the one that anacondas are. So retics, I always say, are so chill to me, so sweet, so cool. Anacondas can be a little bit moody, and they don't give you warning.
Especially yellow ones. I actually have them right here. This is Bumblebee, though.
The one I'm ready to pull out right now.
Yeah. He does a lot of events with me in education, and
probably
not a lot of people in the world get to interact with anacondas, especially yellow ones. So it's cool to be able to bring them out to the public.
Right. We're so easy. Now, what do you, in your enclosure for the anaconda, do you keep a nice size water source? I don't think I've ever saw any videos with her actual enclosure.
It's just a water, like a tote, like a black tote you get from Home Depot. And it's just water, just room temperature water, because I keep my house climate controlled.
Yep.
And then he gets soaked once a week too in his bath. But yeah. He just has a bowl that I change out. And I try to get to their water every 3-4 days kind of thing, and lately I've been going quality over quantity. So I'm just keeping all the education animals and then the animals that I use for like breeding and stuff. But yeah.
So what are you breeding?
Right now I actually have false water cobra eggs going.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, she gave me 10 this year, so that was cool. Last year it was 20. A bunch of them were slugs, and that was her first clutch. And then this year is her second.
I didn't realize that. I see you with the false water cobra. I didn't realize that you actually breeded her.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not a breeder by any means. It's just doing it for fun kind of thing. Especially the false water cobras, because like my female's 9 foot and she's a beast. And a lot of people don't realize how big they get, all this. And
you
so
too, LKB.
What's that?
No, I was saying something to somebody in the comments. Everyone's having a nice weekend. I was saying yes.
But yeah, so I like to just showcase and get the false water cobras out there. And then I like to, get the venomous side out there too, because they're rear fang venomous. I've been bitten by a few of them and nothing's happened or anything. I haven't been bitten by any of the adults, but nobody's ever died from a false water cobra. So I like to get that out there.
Hey, Jeremy. That's awesome, because it's kind of hard to breed cobras, isn't it?
I mean, really, it's easy with them. I just hooked them up and,
They just
you know,
went.
months later, yeah, it was great.
See, I really wish that I didn't feel the way that I felt about breeding reticulated pythons, because like right now I have a set who wants to breed so bad. Like
Yeah.
it's so funny. They go into each other's enclosures on their own and everything. And I'm like, no, no,
I
no.
have 5 retics now, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna breed them.
Yeah. So I have a total of 8 retics now. But they're all for, like, I don't never have to breed them. I'm on, like, they are my best friends. Like, I really
Yeah.
love each one of these snakes.
Uh-huh.
I was joking with my husband yesterday when we got back in town that when I came in the house, I was going to do a reel playing Gasolina, opening up all the retic tanks. That's what I missed. I missed just like letting them out. So I got to let them all out every day. Yesterday. So it was pretty amazing. So outside of the retics, you also have a bunch of tarantulas too, right?
I've actually dialed down on those a little bit,
Okay.
like dialed back actually. Yeah. So I have 2 tarantulas right now.
Okay.
That I kept for education purposes, like if you want to hold them kind of thing, you know, or pet them. But then, yeah, other than that, I've just been trying to condense down and just target more education and just breeding like the false water cobras and different species like that. I want to do Gila monsters and beaded lizards as well. I have a few of those.
So you and Dre have something in common. So Dre is not I always say, every time I hear somebody say that, Dre is not the only one that's weird out there.
Nice.
There's somebody else who loves beaded dragons and Gila monsters.
I've actually seen his YouTube channel before too. I stumbled across it a few years ago.
Oh wow!
Uh-huh.
Shout out to Dre. But you also used to have, or still have, do you still have the Asian water monitor?
Yeah, Kevin. Yeah.
Kevin.
Actually, I have my beaded lizard right here.
Oh, yours is big too.
Yeah, she's
How old
super.
Is that one?
8 years old.
Okay, so it's older. Okay. Now, is
Yeah.
that the max size it gets?
For a female, yes. The males will get bigger.
Okay.
Yeah, but she's a female. Her name's Megan, and she's
so
super sweet. I use her. Yeah, I use her a lot for education and all that stuff. But I have her just totally desensitized. We work with her a lot.
So you can. Okay. See, this is my thing. So this is why I guess Dre get annoyed with me, because I can desensitize retics, I can desensitize Asian water monitors, I can desensitize tegus. So you're telling me if I can desensitize them, I can desensitize a beaded dragon, beaded lizard.
Yeah, I've had a few of these, and they're all individual personalities, obviously. But
okay.
The one thing is you just have to move slower with them. They're the most primitive animals that I have. So it's just kind of understanding, you know, that aspect. And then once you do that, you can work with it. So
okay.
Same thing with retics, you know, they're a little different than other snakes. And, you know, as long as when you find that, you know, that niche, you can work with it and really go.
Yeah. See, I have yet to come across a retic that was so challenging. You know how some people just won't handle their retics. I've had babies that you had to get used to getting handled, but never any that like, oh my God, I don't want to touch it. I don't want to pick it up. I never had the experience yet.
Oh my gosh.
I give the breeders credit, because I think that what makes that difference is that when the breeders handle those snakes a lot as babies, by the time they come to you, they're, you know, already okay with humans, as long as you don't do anything that makes them not okay with you at that point.
Yeah, I do have a 12-foot one that tries to bite my face off all the time, but
was that one you brought in?
Somebody gave it to me in Klamath Falls, a few, like 2 hours away from me.
Okay, but you still handle it though.
Yeah, it's a special technique and stuff, but yeah, it's definitely not one of those ones I'll take around the public or anything, but yeah.
This is a reticulated python.
Yeah, some of them are crazy. Food responses are another thing. Like, it's hard to turn off a food response for an 18-foot snake, you know, you can't really... It does what it wants to do.
Especially out in the open and in public. Exactly. Because that's the one thing, and I tell anybody, and mines are all sweet, but when it comes to the time that they eat, we are not friends. I literally, is a technique to feed each and every last one of them. And most of the technique is to drop the food and get the hell out the way. Because if they want to eat it off the ground, it's no need for me to be sitting there.
And I've seen you had Kevin McCurley on your show before. I've watched a lot of his YouTube videos and took a lot of his building threads of trust, all of that stuff. So I take all of those techniques and I put them in the animals, and it's worked out really well. So I don't feed live. I don't have them coil. I just kind of put it in there.
Man, Kevin is dead on everything. Well, first of all, everybody knows. I don't care what you say about anybody in the world. I love me some Kevin McCurley. That is. Look, it's part of my funeral. They know that you have to talk about the day that I met Kevin McCurley at my funeral. If y'all don't, I'm going to raise up. If y'all do not, that was the most amazing day for me. And you're right, he's dead on. And I keep saying he has to write the book, because for me, that was who I watched too. And everything that he said worked. And I have to give him credit for a lot of that I have. Like I said, the breeders. Well, you know, one of my snakes is actually from him. My golden child cow is from him. I actually wanted, that was the only person I was going to get the GC cow from. And, you know, they even say that the GC cows are a little bit more timid as youngsters. When she came to me, she was sweet, and she's sweet to this day. So you got to give them credit. Speaking of Jeremy, it's in the comments. Hey, Jeremy, Brassman Reptiles. But yeah, dead on. Dead on. And I hope he gets the opportunity to write the book, because there has been, I never, ever, ever had a moment of fear where I just wouldn't touch or deal with my animals or anybody else. It's like, my only thing is I'm not taking your animal in. And I don't, for so many reasons when it comes to the rest of my animals. I like to raise my animals up. I have retics that I can look at and see exactly what they want to do at that moment, because I have raised them up. And I just want it to be that way.
Yeah. And you know the animal and they know you. So it flows.
Yep. Have you ever, is there any animal that you say absolutely not, I'm not dealing with? Like, because you deal with so much. Is there anything that you just won't deal with?
Mambas.
Really?
Yeah, I went to pick up my forest cobra, and the guy had a pair of green mambas, and it was just a very intimidating snake. They're, you know, the fastest snake in the world, and they're slender. Yeah, so
what's the difference between
I'll never have
intimidation? I need to understand. This is a king cobra. This is a green mamba. What is the difference in the intimidation factor? Help me.
A king cobra is a big corn snake, especially if you get it socialized. A mamba, I mean, they're insane. They're like ninjas. They are fast, whippy. It's insane. I follow people online that have mambas. I'm like, that's so crazy. And I soak my animals once a week, so it's like, to get those out, soak them. Like, I get my forest cobra out. I get everybody out, just soak them once a week, and be able to get that interaction as well.
Yeah.
And just mambas, they're just one of those snakes that I'm just like, I don't really, you know.
So now you're going to make me go look at videos of people who own mambas, because
it's insane.
I was not expecting you to say a mamba. I was expecting you to say some stuff like Komodo dragon. Maybe.
Dream reptile. Dream reptile. If I could have a Komodo dragon, I would love to socialize it. I would have one.
I'm going to right. Pat, he said that's all I'm going to think of now. They're like ninjas.
They are. They're crazy.
So that, I would tell you that's a lot of respect. If to hear you say that's the one that you won't deal with. So now I'll make sure on my list, no matter how pretty you think it is, Nicole, Mark has a cutoff.
Yeah.
At a mamba.
At mambas, yeah. That's just not my thing. Yeah.
Hey,
and I don't want like a bunch of venomous snakes. I just like what I like.
Right. That is too funny. Now, what your son, do you hope that he grows up with the same passion? Because he's very passionate now, so I can't imagine it leaving. Or would you rather for him to explore a hobby that's totally different?
You know, I look at it as, when I was younger, all I did is watch Steve Irwin and look at books. You know, I never really got experience unless it was like at the zoo or something, but you can't really touch those animals. So
right.
With him, I'm like, hey, you know, like I wish I had an anaconda my whole life. And it was till I was like 30 when I got it, you know. I was like 30 years to get an anaconda. I was like, you have one right now. So I want him just to grow up with the animals and just have it normal to him. And then you know, if he wants to go the animal path, he can. If he doesn't, you know, at least he can still spread that education through his whole life about the animals. So that's cool. And then I kind of just want to start like, I want to do the business and just do a whole empire and just kind of leave it. You know, if he doesn't want to take it over, I'll just leave it for the community and the world or whatever, you know, kind
Right.
of. But yeah, like I just, yeah, it doesn't really matter what he does. But if he wants to do animals, awesome. And he's loved it so far. So he's helped me do so much stuff. It's
Yeah,
insane.
he is amazing. He is absolutely fearless. And, you know, like you say, like even with just like the scorpions, that's something as a grown woman I have never touched. I still haven't picked up a tarantula, and I have 12. I tell everybody, this is how I move my tarantulas. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Thank you. Do whatever I got to do, and I get out the way. Now, I will tell you, there is a couple that I really think that I could hold with no problem.
Mm-hmm.
But every time I see the fangs, because what people don't realize is how big, close up, and personal tarantula fangs are for them to be such little animals. And I'm like, nah, I don't ever want you to ever mistake me for a cricket, because I watch how quick they attack whatever they think is food. I don't want that to be my hand, because they are quick and very matter of fact. Like I got it.
Nice.
I got it.
Yeah, I have one that I use for education. And kids you can pet it. You can do it's a rose hair tarantula, and you can pet it. You can do all that stuff. And they're actually kind of intelligent. They have like a brainstem, from what I believe. That's it.
Oh, definitely.
And you know, I just go in, kind of let it know I'm there, and then I could literally just pick it up or put it in my hand, and yeah. And then, you know, a spider's stressed if it's losing all of its hair on its abdomen and all that kind of stuff. And I see a lot of people like, hold my tarantula and it has no hair on it. I'm like, that thing's so stressed out. But this one, I just kept it because I'm like, cool, it's really chill.
Well, and some people would say, no, it's just about to molt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I'm like really?
No, it'll kick all its hairs off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, and I don't hold it all the time. I let it be all the time unless somebody wants to hold the tarantula. I'm like, okay. And it's one of those things I don't have to constantly keep social. I could just play with it once a year or once a month if I want to. Kind of thing.
X-Ray say, do you have Goliath bird eaters?
I had a salmon pink bird eater that I got rid of. I gave it to my friend. I was just trying to get out of the spiders. I had a whole lot of spiders, and I was like, let's just cut down on them. And I went the more venomous snake route. I guess.
Got it.
Yeah.
Your most rewarding animal experience?
The yellow anaconda or the Mexican bearded lizard when it gets into people's hands. That's always an experience for me, because they'll probably never touch one in their life again. Honestly, you know. And then I try to, you know, target not the reptile people, but just the general public that doesn't know anything.
Yep. And that's important. I shared that. I was talking about that on one of the Reptiles and Cocktails episode a few weeks ago. It's very important that we educate the people who are not in the reptile community. And that's why I invite those people into my channel all the time, because I've seen, even in my own family, people whole mindset change, not just about reptiles itself, but about people in the reptile community. Like, it's kind of brought them together. I think that it's important, because when those people, they're the ones who have those regular jobs in the politician's office, the firefighter's office, the mayor's office, and things like that. When people try to make, you know, shit hit the fan with us, they can speak on what they know by being at Mark's house, being at Nicole's house, you know, being at Gershon's house. I've handled one of them before. I held one of those before. My friends have one of those. That's not true. That snake is not that big. It can't eat you. You know, all that kind of stuff. They can start to speak for us. Yeah.
And I like all the public and all that too. But also, like I told you, I had fishing game at my house a few times. And I showed them my yellow and purple snake, Daisy, my reticulated python. It's a sunfire lavender morph. But they were like, what kind of snake is that? I'm like, how do you really? Or I had an African tigerfish, and they didn't know what that was. I was like, you're risking river monsters, like, or anything, like.
Right.
It's a fishing game.
The reality of it is that most people, again, who don't know reptiles, every big snake is a boa constrictor.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You know, or Burmese python. That's all they know. You know, they don't know reticulated python. There are people who don't even know what a corn snake is, you know, and that's the one snake that I have that I don't show a lot, not because I mean it's just not a snake that's going to kind of hold, it don't stay still. Corn
Yeah.
snakes don't stay still. So he'll come out for a video every now and then, but he pretty much out of all the snakes really does just like being left alone. You can come get me if you want to, but I'd rather sit here, play under the dirt and stuff like that. Every now and then you'll see him sitting up in his little perched up in his tree, but it's rare. He's normally in the ground or under his little hide. Now, all the other ones, except for the green tree python, they like being out. They like engaging. So I do that a lot with them. Now, do you have a Amazon tree boa? Had an Amazon tree boa?
I had a green tree python.
Okay, a green tree python. Okay.
And I got it from a friend, and then I gave it to another friend. I just kind of one of those quality over quantity things. I was like, I don't really want this in my army of animal ambassadors, as I call it. So
yeah, I mean, it's grown on me. Like now that, especially now that he's so much calmed down, but it's not one of the animals that I would want more than one of. Like I don't even want another Morelia. This one is challenging enough.
Yeah.
To have, okay, let's have 3 of these. No. Like retics, like I said, is different, but those things you have to be very on point when you're taking them out. Like I have to totally focus on all his behaviors as I'm taking them out. A lot of attention has to go to them, and other than that, they really don't like being handled. So, and I like animals who like to be engaging.
Yeah, and those animals, like, yeah, they're pretty tough.
Yeah. So, how often do you do the educational events? Is that something that you're doing constantly? I mean, because it appears that way on social media anyway. It seems like you're always working.
I mean, I work full time. So, I mean, how all that works is I'm a chef, so I cook at nighttime, and my restaurant doesn't open until 5. So I'm just up early in the mornings taking care of animals all day, and then I go to work. So they sleep while I'm at work. So that's nice to be able to do. And then with the education events, it's just like if a school calls or a daycare calls or a lot of friends' birthday parties, or I have a few Halloween events booked because everybody loves snakes on Halloween and stuff. So yeah, I just I'll grab some animals and like whatever I can at that time. I never promise any one animal. It's, some animal could be in shed or something, or
right.
Anything. So I'll just bring some animals, whatever it is, and then everybody just has a good time. And then I try to do the more unique animals like the yellow anaconda or the bearded lizard, or I have like a sun glow kraken boa that's really expensive. But it's like I don't care about breeding it. I want people to see them, get out there and see them. And a lot of people that have those animals use them to breed, so they just leave them behind closed doors, that kind of thing. And
right.
It's like I want to get them out there, and yeah.
So outside of Steve Irwin and Kevin McCurley, who others have you probably, who's inspired you or you felt like has been definitely a positive impact in what you're doing today in the reptile community?
I talked to Tom Crutchfield here and there on social media, and he inspires me a lot because he was one of the original reptile people, smuggler, whatever you want to call it. But then he's changed now. So it's like that quality over quantity type of thing. And a lot of old school people don't change. So that's nice to be able to see somebody like that change, then have the influence to be able to change other people. So Tom Crutchfield's one of them. And then Ty Park. I like Ty Park a lot, the owner of Iguana Land. What he's doing is amazing. So I'm like, and he puts all of his own money pretty much into it. So
yeah,
that's what I do. I don't make any profit off anything. All my money gets funneled towards the animals. And even if I didn't make or anything, like I would just have these animals because I like it. And it's a hobby,
right.
The passion. But it's fun to be able to share them with people.
You share a lot of the same people. Tom Crutchfield is one that I respect as well. Ty Parks did a video, a live with Adam from Proper Royals, a little over a month and a half ago, I would say, and it was probably one of my favorite lives to watch. I learned so much about him, his family dynamic, the things he's been through with Florida Fish and Wildlife, how much money he's lost, just trying to continue to conserve and educate people about the animals that we love. So let's talk about USARK for a second. what is your, are you involved in anything regarding
Oh
ARC
yeah,
as far as lobbying off, outside of the regular social media platforms? What do you
I've been
feel
a
about?
member for years, for sure.
Yeah.
Been a member. My
Hey,
girlfriend's a member.
Jennifer.
I've got my mom to be a member. I've got other like friends to be members that don't even know anything about it. I'm like, just support it, type of thing. So yes, definitely support USARK, all that stuff. I did have a USARK label on my like profile picture on my Facebook,
Mhm.
but then I put a picture of me holding my Gaboon Viper up, free handling it, but it's like head was way ready for me, and I was just transporting it from the bath back into her cage. So took a picture, but somebody was like, they don't, go for that, all that stuff, and that's just a bad image to have USARK and that. So I was like, you're right. So I took that off, but I'm still a membership, and I still obviously
Right.
support it and do all that stuff. But yeah, like the whole public and Facebook world, they can be mean. So.
Right. And, and,
um,
and, and you definitely are one who tries to avoid all of the negativity in
Oh
it.
yeah, I want to be
Yeah.
like a public figure eventually one day, and that's just for the animals. I don't want to be like a Steve Irwin or anything, but I just want to get the animals out to people, and so I always just promote my name, Mark Anderson, and then all my friends, family, can just—it's easy to go that route.
Right. You
um,
do admin a couple reptile groups though, correct?
yeah, yeah. I mean, people ask me to run some groups, even in Europe. I've been admin groups of a few in Europe, and yeah, I mean, people ask me, there was a point I was like running 15 to 20 different groups. I'm like, I can't keep up with. And so, yeah, there's a few now, and I'll just post on them, and that's it. But yeah, I pretty much just try to post and stay away from social media. I used to be really more interactive, but yeah, there's a lot of crazy people out there. So,
Yeah. And so
um,
you have to kind of like, I think that that's one of the reasons why inside the actual retic world, I think I kind of drew back from that atmosphere, not because of, nothing that was ever against, with me, but just the constant negativity that is aired in
yeah,
some of those pages. It's not what I signed up for, and they're really much hormone driven, and I don't.
and they're run by
I
people
just
that don't know anything.
Right, exactly. And if you broaden yourself outside of your own ego, you will learn a lot. I can remember in that very same group, and I shared this on this channel before, in one of those groups that I used to follow, and I still follow. I just don't do much in there or much activity. Someone telling me that I would never be able to handle more than one reticulated python, and when I sit here and laugh every day when I'm dealing with eight very I don't like to use the word socialized, but I like to use the word conditioned reticulated pythons that I can handle than most men in that group ever could have. It just really cracks me up. And I do sometimes want to be petty because I'm a Gemini. I do have a petty bone in me. And I do sometimes want to post certain things in there just because, but I don't.
Yes, yes,
I'm
yes. I
like,
feel that.
three retakes at one time, girl power, but I don't. I just don't. I just.
Yes.
But it was one of the reasons why I left that group. Not just me. I think that the group is not as active as a whole as it used to be.
No, yeah, exactly. I mean, I'll post a picture of my retakes with my son, and they're like, he's gonna eat them or bite them or something, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
Insane.
Do you think people are into reptiles because they like dinosaurs when they were a kid? For me, I would say I do have some lizards I like because they dinosaur like, but I can't say I like dinosaurs as a kid. Like I was the girl who could watch Jurassic Park because dinosaurs scared the heck out of me. I can't go to the science center because they have those big 100-foot dinosaurs and I just think I'm about to get eaten. So I can't say that I actually like them, but I do think that when it comes to like the retic, for example, I always was as a child intimidated by the larger snakes because of the movies and things like that. And I think it's impressive that I can own them now, if that makes sense. What about you, Mark?
Yeah, my retics and cobras, I would say, and the yellow anaconda are like the smartest animals that I have, for sure. Um, and yeah, a lot like it's crazy because I turn off that fear factor of them, so just to see their natural behavior or whatever they have most natural, like you know, they don't fear me. So it's you get crazy behaviors out of them.
Yeah.
But they're always watching me. Like I can go in the animal room and there is,
Like,
you know, the cobra and retics are always watching me.
yep.
And then my yellow
Always.
anaconda, he'll just come up and be like, what's going on? He'll just come out of the cage. It's crazy.
Always. And it's just hysterical. For me, like I say, even mine will tell me, like, okay, I see you, I realize you came in, open the door. And I open the door and they just come right out. And I like to show people that, like, because I see so many people who have to struggle with their retakes. My theory has been, if you make them like being outside the enclosure, like I can't express what that means, but like the engagement of it, letting them kind of tour around the house and things like that, you don't have to struggle to get them out because they're going to come out if they want to come out.
Oh yeah.
There are times they can be in moods like Greg going to shed and they just want to just rest, but they're going to let you know they're not going to budge when you touch them. They might look at you and, come up to you a little bit, just give you a little bit of tongue flicks, but they're not going to like move to come out. Because clearly, I tell people all the time, if any reticulated python, once you open the door, if it wants to come out, it's coming out. Like it's going to take the opportunity. It's like, oh, door open, coming out.
I've had retics bulge my whole front, like enclosures off before.
Yeah.
And I'll custom build them and everything. And I'm like, this is oak plywood. How did you, and it's just bust right through. I'm like, that's insane.
So they're the only group of animals who have a camera on them from every single angle. All the other ones rotate, but I keep consistent angles.
Yep.
So I was telling the story one day, we were at lunch and the camera was beeping on my phone. And I'm like, okay, somebody's moving in the cage. But then the camera kept going like, and I said, well, let me look at the video. I said, hey, isn't that the child, my golden child, just going around the dining room? I was like, how did she get out? So when we came here, it looked like Mark, her lock was still on, and it looked like her doors was still on. But what she did was she found one corner at the bottom of the base, right where the PVC and the hers is the only one, no, just two, who has acrylic door. And the acrylic mat, she pushed the acrylic just enough to constrict her body out there. And it was almost like she said, let me make it look like boom, boom, boom. The window was never open. And we had to go back and play the video to see how she did it. It was so freaking crazy. I was like, now, and people talking about snakes don't have a brain.
Oh, they're intelligent. They're so smart.
I'm like, what snake thinks that, okay, I can't get the lock off. Let me go ahead and, okay, all right, this can give. I'm heavy. I can push this a little bit, slide out. But let me make sure that I don't push it all the way out because then she knows how I got out. I just was amazed. And I thought it was so cute. I kept telling my son, it's so cute. She snuck out the house. She snuck out the house.
Yep.
And the lock was still in place. So then we realized that we had to reposition the lock and stuff. It's just crazy. They're very observant of everything that we do.
Yep.
Everything that we do.
And cameras are really awesome. Like I use cameras in all my rooms, and then I will have the cameras on the venomous snakes. I have more I put the setting for the motion sensor on high. So even if they're moving in their cage or drinking water, like it alerts me. So I'm like, okay, cool. And then I have some all in the animal room too. But this way I know, so I can, I'll come home late at night and then it'll just be completely dark and I can't have like anything. I've never had any venomous snake or anything get loose, knock on wood.
Right.
But it's just a nice sense of security. Yeah, like I know what's going on even if I'm at work or, like theft's like a huge thing these days with animals. So I'm always like, I'm really, really on
so
top
that's
of
even
that.
funny. Like we always, someone is, even when we away, someone is always in here. But my son and my nephew will tell you, I'm watching my animals from wherever I'm at the country. And something can happen, like a temperature can drop on just a thermometer. And I want my son, go check the temperature. He'd be like, mine, it's fine. But because you're not home and just that one little shift, you panic.
Yeah.
Or even the way, like even the animals that's in the rack, I also have them on high sensitivity too. And I have those push controls in there that if the heat fluctuates, a whole lot. So if you do something like turn the AC off or whatever, based on how the temperatures are set, it may make those temperatures wave. But having a camera gives you so much relief when an alert goes off and you can just go and see exactly what's going on.
Yep.
Especially with the water monitor. Because sometimes I'm like, what in the heck are y'all in there doing?
Yeah. That is the most, time-consuming animal for sure, the water monitor.
I'm like, what are you doing? Like they make their own fun, but sometimes it'll just set the camera because it also would tell. I have certain cameras that tell you if it's a person or if it's the animal. So the alerts are different.
Nice.
But sometimes I learned that water monitor, because of the size, sometimes trigger it thinking it's a person. And I'm like, okay, now I'm down there, but no person.
That's
it's just
funny.
a daggone lizard. Yeah. But
Oh my
it's
gosh.
really cool.
A fly could go across the screen and it'll alert me. Like, I want to know what's going on there. Any movement, and I have fans too. So I have fans that circulate all the humidity and temperature, and like big industrial like barn fans. And so there's always wind flow in there. It's never stagnant or anything. But sometimes they'll like rattle a leaf or something, and I'm like, oh, I got movement, and then it's like I have to like really look into the video. I'm like, okay, it was just a leaf. Like nothing got out or anything.
And the value of being able to communicate. So say, for instance, even if someone was working in your house, you had a contractor in there, you can talk through the mics, like, hey, get out that room, or hey, even though the lights off, my snakes are in that room, be careful. Whatever you got to say to them. And it freaks people out, even my family, when I just start coming across the mic. But
it's good.
And I would tell you guys, that's their camera systems. Those camera systems, and they cheap now. Like the ones
so cheap.
They so cheap, and they be high definition. You can see everything.
Yeah, so and like cheap. With big animals like that, like you have like a responsibility to the public, so it's like you got to be on top of it. And for something so cheap, it's like everybody should have cameras. Everybody has Wi-Fi. Everybody should have cameras.
Yeah, and you can see, like you said, just knowing, they snake loose, and nope, not my snake. See it right there.
Yeah, I mean, one thing gets loose, it's over with. Like everybody knows about that one red spitting cobra they got loose.
Yes,
zero.
So, would you ever cohabitate a giant boa constrictor and a reticulated? Absolutely not. Okay, I'll read the whole question before I say no. Would you ever cohabitate a giant boa constrictor and a reticulated python of the same size in the same enclosure? You go ahead, Mark.
I mean, you have a big enough enclosure. I like doing.
I'm going to tell you, this is going south real fast.
Normally, no. Let's just say no. I know how you feel about hybrids too, so I don't even want to get into that.
Right? Yeah, I can't. Mark. It's just that certain things just should not go together. Like certain things should keep the pure form of what it is.
But you look at human nature, it's like you look at dogs, like everything's hybridized, but you pay more money for a pure bloodline type of thing. I feel like that's how it's gonna go eventually, but.
Exactly. I just think, honestly, like even again, watching my snake behaviors, and I'll use this for example. I can have 5 reticulated pythons out within different rooms, and they're fine. They'll crawl over each other. They'll even sniff each other, whatever. But if I take a boa constrictor and let it go past one of the enclosures where the retic is, the retic reacts totally different. So in my thought process, maybe not the babies. Babies would be fine. I've had babies, but as adults, I think that I don't think reticulated pythons, I think they know that the boa constrictor is a different species. And if they wasn't raised up together, that can cause some type of hormonal or, reaction. I don't know. I think the boa is going to get eaten.
Yeah, I've never
snake food.
Yeah, I've never had any issues with having the snakes together because I'll do events and I'm like, hold this anaconda with this python with this boa if you want a picture, and they're all just la-di-da.
Yeah, and I do believe that. I believe that if you're the president, if you're the median, right?
Yeah, yep.
But I've seen when I'm not the median, them react totally different from what they would if it was just another reticulated python. And I can tell you, the ball pythons know the difference between those big snakes too.
Yeah.
They get very alert when my retics start climbing up and they can see them, and it's like, okay, do you see this big old snake right over
there? I do have 3 tables.
Jeremy said bad idea. I'm gonna go with that one too, Jeremy. That sounds like this is about to be a quick disaster. There's not many animals though. You know what? I wish I can cohabitate. Different forms of monitors. And I know some people say that you can, but I think my mistake is I should have done it when Larry was smaller, when my Asian water monitor was smaller, and kind of got them at the same exact time. Larry is so spoiled now. I think if I put anything in there with him, he's going to make sure that it never comes out or gets the hell out of there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I cohab 3 tegus, 1 big male and then 2 females, and they get along. I've never had issues. I feed them all separately, but even if I fed them together, they just have like a little pecking order, I guess. But it works out.
So I've never read that. I do know that like the anaconda is a boa, and people think an anaconda is a python, but it's actually a boa. But that's the only one that I know of. I don't know of them. I've never heard that. It says I read that at one time boas were labeled in the same family as pythons at some point. And it could have been, a long time ago. Now, let me tell you, I think I said to Dre one day, it is interesting how the blood python's face, his head looks like a boa.
Yeah.
I do find that interesting. And I don't know what the history or why it's that way. But if you look at that head on a blood python, it does look more like the head of a boa.
Yeah.
So you never know. We've all been on this earth and we done hybridized to be so many different things.
Oh, it's
Animals
crazy.
do it too. I just don't like the intentional hybridization of unique species. Like, I don't care if you got a corn snake and whatever colubrid it might be out there just in the wild. Hognose decide they want to mate out in the wild.
Yeah.
But in this house, I bought a reticulated python and I bought a boa constrictor. I don't want a boa retic. I don't want what they call it, carpythron or whatever they call it, the carpythron. So whatever they're trying to do with these now, with these green tree pythons and carpet pythons, like I'm just
that's crazy.
I think a carpet python is beautiful the way it is, even though they little huffy. And I think
the natural
python is beautiful the way it is.
Yep, I like the naturals. Even the retics, like my 18-foot one's just a normal mainland female, and she's beautiful.
My favorite berm is the normal. I think the normal berm is the most beautiful berm that's ever going to be created, and it gets more and more beautiful as it gets bigger.
Yep.
But yeah, I definitely, I don't know. I'm not a fan. I just think that and I think animals like that too, like retics need their own space, like to see I've seen, don't get me wrong. I saw a picture that Tom Crutchfield even posted the other day. When you can build those massive enclosures.
I saw that. There was like 5 retics all living together.
I'm going to get him on his show. He's going to tell me what he did. That right there, I thought was beautiful. And all I could think of is that I could take these 2 rooms, the wall is already knocked out, do this, and you probably could have literally 5 in that one area.
Here and there, I will have my 9-foot male reticulated python live with my 18-foot one, and they get along just great. Yeah. He's even busted out a few times to go to her, and I'm like, so I just let them live together, and they do great.
His girlfriend.
Yeah, and she's like quadruple his size,
That's stuck out the house. Yeah, I don't they don't have any problem. I think I crack up when they just go into each other. Like if I have them out and I'm clean, they just go into each other enclosures. And then there's some that it's funny, the ones that may be in the room over here, they may not come over into this room to interact with these that much, but the ones, it's like they know each other. Like these are the ones in this room, they're their own little gang. These are the Bloods, these are the Crips. I don't know. It's just like they just get along really, really well in there.
Yeah. And I never feed live, and then I don't breed my own rodents or anything, so I never have the smell of rodents. They're all frozen, so that's.
But even with that, I don't know if you saw the video I posted. My retics, the room where I breed my rodents, not rabbits, but the rats. But the rats I got rats and ants. They're right by where the medium-sized retics are. The big retic is a video on my Instagram. If you never saw it, I don't know if I posted on Facebook where my tiger pie goes to the door and he's literally trying to turn the knob to get in the rat room. It's hysterical. but I still can go over there and touch them and move them and everything. So they're very non-reactive. Like they know the difference. And I explain, my snakes know this is how she feeds me. I'm very repetitive in the way that I feed each one of them. This door opens. This is what she do. Like I don't touch them ever if they get ready to eat. Never. And
Nice.
like I said, for some of them, most of them, because I feed all of them frozen thawed, because I never had a reason to have to feed them live. They're going to eat dirt if you throw it in there. I put the rabbit in there, close that door, and I'm out the way, and they eat.
Yeah.
And I do that for every last one all the time. Now, if there was one that want to be fed like a baby that's fed in a different way, then I do that consistently until the baby shows that it's grown up for me to show them to be fed when I can just lay their food down too. Because I'd rather be out of the retics way at feed time.
Oh yeah, yeah. I just try to lay it in the
don't need
opposite side of the cage, and they go up
Yes,
to it.
yes. I want to be a good distance away. I don't want to be that person. And it's so sad because they can't control their little selves when they get in that mindset. I don't want to be that person that accidentally get bitten and wrapped.
Yeah, or if they're sleeping and you startle.
The rabbit. Yeah, that's not fair to them because it takes them a moment. Like I had it one time where the tiger pot bit herself trying to eat her food. I had to pull on himself. I had to pour cold water on him to unbite himself.
Wow.
I'm like, fool, can't you feel that you're biting yourself?
My female false water cobra, she's 9 foot, and she's super fast, comes out, and she bites herself all the time. I'm like, what are you doing? The food's right here. It's insane. I'm like, and I've never seen blood or anything on her. I'm like,
nope, me neither.
What?
Me neither. So
right.
I told my husband the same thing. Nope, didn't bleed. You know, I'm like, oh, are you okay? And no, never. Just give me my food. I'm fine. All right, that was a mistake. Thank you for helping. Give me my food, and I'm fine.
And it shows how fast they can like judge. You know, like, oh, it's biting myself for pain or whatever, and it's like, yeah, they don't apply pressure. Crazy.
Exactly. So that's why I tell people, like when you talk about that and you talk about the education, it's nothing personal. It's their food time.
Yeah.
You know, just like when I'm ready to go pick up a crab, a Maryland crab, you don't want to put your hand in the way. You might get bit. I love me a good old crab. But it's food time. And then understanding that, and that's one of the things I teach, because like you, my granddaughter, she handles the big snakes. Never alone, but she handles them. And things like that. We always talk about if you get bit, the why, right? So she knows what to avoid doing so it doesn't happen. But if you make a mistake, she understands to never judge the animal.
Yep.
And I love that about her. And when you hear her talk to other people and trying to get them to explaining about them, she shares that. Like, you know, if you do this and this might happen, but it's not the snake's fault, you know, just, you know, you have to do this differently. And I actually did a YouTube video where she was 5, and it was so funny, but it was really cool to see how much she retained at 5 about snake handling. Now she thinks she's the master.
Yeah, so does my son. He just goes around and like, oh, bro.
Yes. I never tried to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Elijah says, I feel like I have a python and boa so close together, especially cohabiting. It's a quick way to get IBD and NIDA. Yeah, that's another reason why I keep them separate too. Yep. Because, you know, boas can live with that for years, and your python will die quite quickly. But I honestly think specifically though, when it comes to the retic, it's that he's going to eat I think he's going to eat it. I really do. I don't think that my boas are nowhere specifically the size of my retics. Not even my retics is just 3 years old. They just make my boas look like small animals compared.
Right.
Jeremy said IBD potential. Yeah, 99% of NIDO can't jump species. Got it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with all that stuff. So, I mean, I know about it. I'm just.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense because with NIDO specifically, because they talk about there a lot amongst ball pythons, I feel like if it was so easy to spread, most of us would have experienced it by now.
Yeah. Yeah. Or they just happen, they're living with it and it's all right.
Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I use different tools with the boas and the pythons as well. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even think that it may be all that necessary, but I just do. I
Nice.
do think that I think we do get obsessive about some things when it comes to the reptiles. Like is it really necessary to change water every day? No, but I try so hard to get everybody. I think it's just the old mama, the mama reptile thing that you want
It
to give
just
everybody water,
and it
fresh
depends on the
water.
water too. Like my bigger animals, I just have air stones in them, so I only have to like change those once a
Right,
week to once every 2 weeks. It just depends if they go to the bathroom or not, or how
right.
often they soak in it. But air stones are really good. They just keep the water circulating, and I mean, I don't have to change my cobra's water out every few days, or whatever.
Well, thank God for that. Like,
Yeah, the less I have to do that, the better. That's how mistakes happen. So it's just air stones.
oh, Jeremy
Bubbler.
said he had to spend way too much time investigating the Nido stuff.
Oh,
Yeah. So if it was one thing, Mark, you would want to see improve in the hobby, what would you want that to be? Thanks, Jeremy.
what would it be? Get the positive aspect of reptiles out more. A lot of people are scared about animals in the public, and I'm not saying it's for everyone, but
Right.
know your animal.
Right.
Train like your dog. There's some dogs you can't take out in public, and you can. And those people are really good at reading dogs. Same thing with your animals. Just judge it animal by animal and situation by situation, and just get them out there. Like, especially to people that don't know anything about reptiles. Like most reptile people want to, have an ego and want to show other reptile people. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's just this big old, and then especially with all the conflict in the community of reptile keeping is crazy. But yeah, and more people get along too. Like even people that I have fought with in the past, like I've recently started apologizing to them, even if it was their fault or my fault. It's like those
Mm-hmm.
bigger people move on, and I don't even have to talk to you, but I don't want to hate you. It's just not enough time or energy for that.
Yeah, and it's like and you don't have to agree with everybody's way and method.
Yeah, everybody does
But
things different, and I mean, it's yeah, you got to pick and choose. Definitely, selective empathy. That's everybody has it. So
exactly. Exactly. I agree, Jeremy. It does happen where reticulated pythons have like slashed other reticulated pythons. So I'm sure that it's possible with a different species. But I wouldn't cohab two reticulated pythons unless it was a huge enclosure like that guy told me the other day. I'm gonna find him and get him on this show because I need him to tell me what all went into.
right? Yeah, it looked like a big basement or something that was
It
remodeled.
was.
And that
It
big
was. Did you
waterfall
see
feature.
the big old jacuzzi pool that he
Yeah,
had?
that was
Man,
awesome.
I be in there myself every day. Forget the
Oh
snakes.
yeah,
Move over.
yeah. And the logs, he had freaking trees in there. I was just like,
It was beautiful. He had like a
uh-huh.
whole little Indonesia in the basement.
It was awesome. Yeah, I really like that. Yeah, I saw that when Tom Crutchfield posted that.
So yeah, I saw and somebody else shared it too on one of the, it was amazing. I'm sure it's been shared many
Oh,
a times, but I said I was going to reach out to him and get him on this show because I definitely would like for him to elaborate on how much that went into, because that was his is even better than the other guys that I like. What is his name? Whew. He has a tiger pod and he has a big Lamberton sun tiger, I believe, too. But he built a nice enclosure about 2 years ago. It's going to come to me.
huh. Yeah,
But
I'm curious to see how it is in a year, because you just build them and everything works out, but it's the repetition, it's the time, it's all right.
and
Let's
I
see it in
want
a
to see
year and
how
see
it
how
is
well it
when he
worked out.
goes to feed them. Hey, Maki, when
Yeah.
he goes to feed them, like,
Uh-huh.
because that would be my thing. Like, you got I don't know how
Or
would
if they
they act if
combat,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, so in a year, like I really want to see how that is, because it looks super nice and all that, but it's just like, like
Yeah, that was my
let's see how
thought.
it
Like,
is.
is it any way to separate their food? Because I can see that becoming an issue. Like, say if one ate theirs first and the other one left over, like,
Yeah.
okay, now I'm over there and take yours, and
Or they
you
wrap it
know.
up and so their whole body smells like the prey item, you know, and it's like, oh,
Exactly.
so.
Or what happens if you walk in there on the wrong day and they think that you're the prey item because you got the prey item? Like, how does
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. Yeah. I quit drinking for the most part and everything just to be on top of it all. So.
Oh yeah. And look, the funniest thing is most people who I know who have gotten accidentally bitten by a retic said they were drunk. Like
Probably,
they,
yeah.
yes, like, and that's the one time I learned that you don't want to handle them is if you're drunk.
Oh, yeah. Like I'm literally from when I wake up to, when I go to work, I'm doing animals the whole day. So it's like, I can't be hungover. I can't do anything, I have a lot of eyes watching me too. So I can't make any mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah, that is awesome. All right, so my final question, if you were talking to the 5-year-old Mark about reptiles and you're trying to convince him how it's okay to share his love of the hobby with the world at 5 years old, what would you say?
I don't know if I'm understanding.
Yep. So you're talking to your 5-year-old self, and maybe
Okay.
your 5-year-old self. Let me word this. So your 5-year-old self love reptiles, but you're afraid because other people thinks it's abnormal. What would you say as the adult Mark to the 5-year-old Mark to help him through life and loving reptiles the way that he did?
Brush off their opinion and keep doing you.
Okay, that's great. That's great.
I get
Because
a
a
lot
lot
of
of
opinions.
there are a lot of
Yeah.
5-year-old Marks, and I shared that there was a whole lot of 5-year-old Nicoles, and when you look in the reptile world, especially even here, when the people that I interviewed, everybody have a magnificent different background and path, but they also remember it being taboo to love reptiles on the level that we do. We're not talking about people who just like frogs and grasshoppers and things like that. We're talking about people at 5 years old were masterminding a way to have reptiles in their home and taking over the house and
Yeah, my son
just
literally has
living
them.
it.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And really made that happen. Because I think I always make the joke with what I would tell the 5-year-old Nicole is, girl, do you know how much money ball pythons make? Because no one told me that.
Right? Imagine,
Right? As
yeah,
much
early
as
in the
I had
game.
ball pythons and how
Uh-huh.
much I love them and I wouldn't breed them, girl, this is your legacy. Your children will never have to work again if you start breeding these things now.
Yeah, that's the goal. I don't want my son to work. I want him to be able to, if he doesn't want to do the animals, he has a business to travel and help
Right.
people, even if it's just helping people and not animals, fine. Like whatever he wants to do.
Yep. Yep. All right. Well, thank you, Mark, so much for coming on. It was really, really great having you on. Everybody, please make sure you're following Mark. I follow Mark on Facebook. Are you on Instagram as well?
Yeah, Instagram. I'm Water Horse. So WATA and then horse. And that's my Instagram.
Okay. Okay. So follow Mark on Instagram. I will tell you that he does some amazing things with all types of animals. He also invites a lot of people into the world and teach them about the animals and give them hands-on experience with so many amazing animals that we actually breed and handle on a daily basis. And he has a variety of them. I mean, if you want to see someone who has an array of animals that you want to know something or more about, definitely follow Mark. Mark, are you on YouTube? Like actively on YouTube?
Not actively. I mean, I'll
Okay.
post some videos I post on Facebook and I'm just like, I'll throw it here. So not really, but I do want to get more into that. So.
Okay, yeah, because see, that's the one of the things that I would like to see more of, like the people who are absolutely phenomenal, like you, produce more of those videos. So again, the 5-year-old you and me can realize that it's possible and to know the proper way to love and handle and manage and grow the husbandry of those animals. So
Yeah.
Yep. Well, thank you everyone in the chat. Mark, just stay on for 1 second and I'm going to end the live now. Appreciate you all. Remember to share this out. I want to thank everyone again for getting us to that milestone of 1K subscribers. Congratulations to all of the winners. Congratulations to Elias, who won his first class flight to Tinley. Yay! And apparently, Elias, you must have had faith because he already had his hotel booked. So was a great thing. Again, that was just, it feels good to be able to see somebody be blessed, and so bless people, guys, in your own way. Everybody got different ways. It can be blessing them with education, it can be blessing them with a donation, it could be blessing them with supporting them in different ways. Man, a lot of times it's just being blessed and liking and subscribing and just supporting people. It's free. It's free. Don't forget the 3-day cancer walk, and to everybody, including you, Mark, I'm going to get your information shortly, that I had on the list, of the first set of merch that I have. I'll be working to get that shipped out this week. So hopefully everybody received that stuff before Tinley. I was hoping to do it all today, but the post office closes at 1 now, I guess, after COVID. I don't know. But I'll make sure they're out Monday. I've already got the packaging label and everything. I definitely appreciate you all. With that, peace.